Hey everybody, welcome to the first inaugural rage-filled episode of the Broken Base podcast.
That was my excitement.
I guess so. I guess we should start with introductions. I'm Steve. I'm one of the co-founders of Broken Base. We started this whole shebang a couple years ago to try and sort of further our writing, video game-related careers. And eventually it spiraled out of control into whatever the hell this sort of mess is.
And I'm Will. I'm the other co-founder. And we just use this as a platform to... Well, it was initially going to be a platform to get our opinions out. And then it became what you see today.
And let's just put it this way. There's a reason that How to Play, the video opening, ends with a car crash sound effect. That's what this has become. So,
yeah.
Since the podcast has been something that I've been working on for quite a while now, I guess we'll start with that. I should say right off the bat that as it stands, we don't really have a schedule for the podcast yet. It's something we've been wanting to do for a while, but because of other projects and stuff that we've been working on sort of on the side, which I'll get more into later, it's just sort of, it's always fallen by the wayside. So right now, like I said, we don't have a schedule. We're going to try and get these out relatively frequently. We just can't promise anything yet. And we do have a few ideas for future episodes. You know, we want to stay specific. We don't want it to be just, you know, there's something nice about podcasts where people just get together and ramble around with their friends, but that's not what we're going for.
Mm-hmm.
We want something more focused. So most, if not all, of the Broken Base podcast will be focused around a singular topic. If you haven't already seen the title of this episode, we're going to be talking about a lot about Nintendo. And yeah, so I can't wait to piss off all of our Nintendo fans on the very first episode.
Nintendo fans, I want to point out before Steve goes any further that I love you. And
I can't stand any of you.
I'm going to try to be the positive one. I make no promises, but I will try.
And let me say this before we go any further. My anger and infuriation at Nintendo comes from a place of love. It really does. It's just angry love. That's, you know, there's a little bit of disappointment mixed in there. It's a lot like the relationship I had with my parents.
Oh my.
Yeah, we're getting dark right off the bat.
I was going to say, like, when you have a puppy and it, like, shits on the floor, and you're like, you just shit all over E3, what are you doing? And then you have to discipline it.
I was going to say, my puppy hasn't shit on the carpet yet.
Oh.
But anyways, before we really dive into Nintendo, which we will.
It's coming.
We wanted to sort of start off every podcast with sort of what's going on with the website, what's going on with the YouTube channel, just so you guys know what's going on and what you can expect. So there's a couple big things since this is the first podcast that have recently popped up. The first is our partnership with Broadband TV, more specifically the TGN label. We've officially partnered with them on YouTube, so we've sold out.
Yes.
That's what it breaks down to.
It didn't take quite as long as I thought it would, but we have sold out. And that was actually really nice of them because they reached out to us. We didn't go looking to them for a partnership.
Let me clarify. We were looking at networks.
Yes.
And we had considered it for a little while. It turned out that with our channel and our workload and schedules in real life, it just didn't work out. So, like Bill was saying, when Broadband TV reached out to us, we were surprised. Yeah, so we've partnered with them. Otherwise, not much else is going to change. You know, it's one of those things where there's nothing about it. If everything goes well, you guys won't notice really any changes.
Yeah, they're not going to have us change our content. They're not really monitoring content or anything like that.
Well, I'm sure they're checking up on us.
Oh, yeah.
Making sure that we're not posting videos about, like, you know, maybe Hitler was right. Because I'm pretty sure they won't want to be associated with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you guys probably won't notice anything. If everything goes well, which so far it has been, and we have no reason to believe it won't, it's only going to be good for the channel, in terms of getting our reach out, getting to more people, and expanding the audience, which is exactly what we've been trying to do.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, I think, to both of us. It's just because we're such a small channel, we don't get a lot of views. It's just sort of finding ways to get out there and connect with people and get more people to discover our content.
And since Broken Base is neither of our full-time jobs, having somebody else who can do that for us in the background is exactly what we could have hoped for.
Yeah, I don't feel like we discussed that we have full-time jobs, and that's it's harder than I would have initially thought to manage a channel and keep everything on schedule and try to reach out when you have a 40-hour-a-week job.
Well, and that's actually a great segue for our next point, and that's that our schedule will be changing. So ever since we started publishing those Halloween themed Let's Plays, when we first did, I think you did Revelations.
I did Resident Evil Revelations.
And I did Resident Evil 4. So ever since then, we've been hitting 3 videos a week, save for, a break in between a series or an odd technical issue. But that's actually going to change. I think, starting next week?
Yes.
This is going up on Friday. So yeah, starting next week, we're going to 2 videos a week. There's a couple different reasons for that. Mostly, it comes down to time management. I don't want to make it sound like Let's Plays aren't worth making, because they really are. And I love making Let's Plays, and I love that we have a variety of different Let's Plays on our channels. I know I haven't done a solo one in a while. Again, that's largely due to time management, but the thing about Let's Plays is that no matter what sort of editing you're doing, it's going to be time consuming. Like, there's just no way around that. And Bill and I have been talking. I mean, if you've been here since the beginning, you know that one of our first real video was Quiet Time on one of the later sections of Dark Souls. And then we did one more. We did a review on Home, that indie horror game, and that was really it.
And we want to do a lot more things like Quiet Time. We have a lot of projects in mind.
We have a ton of projects in mind.
Yeah. And changing this schedule and kind of taking a step back is going to hopefully help us complete these in a more timely manner.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I'll actually be able to work on them, because the way that our schedule has been set up, Bill's been handling a lot of the editing, I've been doing a lot of the editing, and sort of, I don't want to make it sound like I'm discrediting the work that you're doing, but I've been doing a lot of bigger picture stuff, like working on art assets and getting everything for something like this ready, making a SoundCloud account and getting all that stuff ready. So now that we've got all this stuff in place, now that we're changing up the schedule, we'll be able to do more stuff like a podcast and, who knows, maybe even more advanced game previews and stuff like that, ahead of release. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we have a ton of different ideas. I threw an idea at Bill last night. So it sucks that we're going down to 2 videos a week. Don't worry, it's not like I'm going to be completely absent from the channel if, for whatever reason, I'm the reason you watch. It's basically, so Bill's been running 2 videos a week. I've been doing 1. Basically, Bill is just going to take over the videos that I've been doing in addition to one of his solo series. So yeah, it's not going to be that big of a change. It's not going to be nearly as much content, which, again, that sucks. But because of it, we're going to be able to do a lot more different, unique, bigger projects, which is what I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything else we should update people on?
I think that's about it happening over here right now.
Okay, so now we can bitch about Nintendo.
Yay!
So I'll let you, Bill can tell you exactly what went down this morning. We're recording on Wednesday night. This will be up Friday. So, yeah, Bill, how was that Nintendo financial results call?
So, Nintendo announced this morning that they are going to be releasing the NX, their brand new console that we still don't know anything about, next March. and that Zelda U, as a lot of people called it, their big holiday title for the year, is also being moved to next March.
So Bill, what does that leave Nintendo with for the big 2016 holiday season?
I'm sure they'll have some more costumes for Mitomo. Maybe they'll release that Star Fox short on DVD.
So, I mean, I guess I should say the point of the results call wasn't to announce the NX, which,
no.
Let's be honest, that was the shittiest way to announce the release window that they possibly could have chosen.
It was such a weird announcement that when I saw the tweet about it this morning, I thought it was a parody account.
Yeah, no, it was such a shitty way. I mean, and here's the thing. The one thing that I will defend Nintendo on is that people have been saying, oh, this is the death of Nintendo. Look at how much profits they lost. Let me be clear. When Nintendo announced that it lost profits, it's just not making quite as much money as it used to.
Exactly.
It's not that they're losing money, they're just not making nearly as much as they used to. It's a big jump. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, what, a 60% loss or something?
Oh, I think, it's about that.
It's a huge loss. They're still making millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah. Well, you also have to compare it to last generation where they had the Nintendo Wii and the DS, which both sold like hotcakes. They were both on fire their entire life cycles.
It was ridiculous. And here's one thing, a quick side that I didn't know. I didn't know that the 3DS was kind of a failure.
Oh, yeah. Even now that it's doing a lot better, it never seems to meet their goals, their sale goals.
Well, and here's the thing. So a lot of my distaste for Nintendo comes from the fact that, and when I say this, okay, so let me preface this. I love Nintendo games. The Super Nintendo and the N64 are basically my childhood. I wouldn't be like the first game I ever played was Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo. Like, without Nintendo, I wouldn't be where I am today. Take that as you will. But the Wii made Nintendo lazy.
Mm-hmm.
That unparalleled success that Nintendo, coming out of the GameCube, never could have hoped for. Like, the GameCube was a distant third place to the PS2 and the original Xbox, and then the Wii set records for like 8 years. It was absolutely ridiculous. But, as a result, Nintendo was willing to sit back and let the console do its work, instead of, it's that sort of triumph through adversity sort of thing. Like, we got, like, Metroid Prime on the GameCube because Nintendo needed something that would sell its system. We got Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube for a while because Nintendo needed to sell its systems. With the Wii U, they didn't need to do any of that. They didn't need to push or struggle to get consoles out the door, so they just got fat and lazy.
And you could see that laziness even back in E3 when they were talking about Nintendo Land for the first time.
Oh, God.
And their big show ended with fireworks over Nintendo Land, and here's the Wii U, we know you'll buy it, here's a brand new controller, you bought the last controller, you loved the last controller, here's a touchscreen like your phone, have at it.
And it was just, well, here's the thing. I don't understand Nintendo's logic, because the Wiimote worked because it was a TV remote. It was always modeled after a remote control. Like, everybody's got a TV remote. So everybody could understand how the Wii controller worked, the Wiimote worked. Not everybody's got a tablet. And you're not going to tap into that same, a tablet makes things infinitely more complex. So not everybody can pick it up and be like, oh, I know how to use this. That's what made the Wii work. That's what made it so popular with so many different demographics.
That, and even people who had a tablet, I've shown a lot of people the Wii U gamepad, and it looks complicated. Because you have that touchscreen, but you also have all of these buttons and 2 analog sticks, and the people who really bought into the Wii and understood the Wii immediately, don't get the gamepad just by looking at it.
Exactly. And then Nintendo didn't have the software to support the Wii U. Nintendo, I mean, you could say that Nintendo Land was sort of the Wii Sports of the Wii U, but it didn't have that same approachability. It was like a collection of minigames. It wasn't like people complain about Wii Sports. Wii Sports was one of the most genuinely genius ideas Nintendo could have ever had, because it took something that was instantly recognizable, like the Wiimote, and used it in an instantly recognizable way. Like throwing or hitting a baseball, or swinging a golf club, or bowling. Nintendo Land didn't have any of that. Nintendo Land was, oh, now I'm flying around in a spaceship, and my friend is a little ball, and I don't understand any of this.
And I'm looking at the gamepad, but I also have to look at the TV screen, and it's too much.
Exactly.
I mean, for me, I love Nintendo Land. I think Nintendo Land's a great collection of games, but we're also gamers.
And frankly, we're not Nintendo's target audience.
Exactly.
Let's be honest. We would have gotten a decent Metroid game or a fucking Legend of Zelda game if we were the target audience. But we're not, because Nintendo was banking on that same Wii crowd to jump shipping, or not to jump ship, but to just sort of cross over automatically, and that couldn't be farther from what happened. So now we're seeing basically the slow, pathetic end of the Wii U.
I think Nintendo's estimation for how many Wii U's they're going to sell the rest of the year is under 1 million. It's like 800,000 or something like that. It sounds like they're done with the Wii U. They're probably done production very soon.
They've been done with the Wii U. Let's be honest. This is the most pathetic support for a console I've ever seen. Like, you know what? The GameCube came in third, but at least they fucking tried. Now you've got what is basically Nintendo being forced to catch up with the rest of the industry. Why is there no Nintendo equivalent of Xbox Live or PS Plus? Why is there no decent online service? Why are there no achievements or trophies? Why is there no one unified I don't even know how many different Nintendo accounts I have.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I have a Nintendo account, I have a 3DS account, I have a Miiverse account, I probably have a Splatoon account.
Yeah, I think very soon they're trying to unify all that, but it's been such a slow roll.
And it's the Wii U has been such, and let me preface this by saying I like my Wii U. Bill just recently got me a Wii U. I've been playing it. I reviewed Star Fox Zero for work, like my day job. I've been playing Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I love that game. I have, for the first time in like 8 years, I'm playing through Metroid Prime. Holy shit, that's a dream come true. But the Wii U has been such an absolute mess. And it's the fact that Nintendo is just sort of giving up on it, and they are very clearly giving up on it. It's just, it feels, I don't know, like this isn't the Nintendo that we grew up with.
No.
And I mean, you can say, oh, you're just holding on to nostalgia, but Nintendo used to be a company that was constantly pushing the envelope. Like Sega, back in the Genesis versus SNES days, Sega was catching up forever because the Super Nintendo was doing everything about as perfectly as you could expect. Like, just the sheer quantity of games alone. I mean, people talk about the PS2 having one of the biggest libraries in gaming history. The SNES was basically the PS2 of its time.
Basically, yes.
And that just, it's not there anymore. And I don't know if that's because of a change of demographics or if it's indeed because of the Wii making Nintendo as fat and bloated as I expect them to be, but it's just not the same.
Well, I could tell that Nintendo was in trouble this generation when the Wii U launched, and the Wii U, I love the Wii U now, but when it launched, it was not a good console. It froze, it had stability issues, the operating system was ridiculously slow. It took a full year of updates for them to fix that. And Nintendo is known for having a certain level of quality, And the Wii U just didn't match that. It didn't even attempt to.
No, it wasn't even close. It was a product that was rushed out the door for holiday sales. And and here's the thing, it's a subpar console.
Yes.
Like, just from a pure hardware standpoint, obviously the PS4 leads that pack, but the Xbox is not necessarily a weak piece of hardware. Like, now that I have all three consoles, I can very clearly say that there's a hierarchy. You know, the PS4 is undisputably the most powerful console on the market today, and that's why it's selling so well. I mean, that's not the only reason, but when people Google which console is best, the PS4 and a hardware schematic are going to come up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why people are buying it. And Nintendo was on the complete opposite end of the spectrum because they didn't feel like they had to try.
Well, because the Wii was so underpowered that they thought they could go into this generation with a new control idea and their properties, and it would be just fine. It'd be just like the Wii.
Well, and here's one of the things about the Wii got away with shit graphics, and let's be honest, they were shit graphics. It got away with that because not everybody had an HD TV back in, 2005?
6.
2006. The Xbox 360 launched in 2005. But not everybody had an HD TV. So you would have people with these big-ass cathode ray TVs and be like, well, it's fine. But now, the perforation or whatever, like how many people have HD TVs is through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the vast majority, and of course, that percentage is only going to get higher when you sort of focus it down onto gamers. Gaming is now in HD art form or industry, whatever you want to call it, and Nintendo was only like halfway embracing it. Can the Wii U the Wii U can do 1080?
Yes, Smash Brothers is 1080p 60 frames.
Yeah, and I think Tropical Freeze is too.
Yes, I think so.
I don't think every game, I might be wrong, but I don't think every game hits 1080 on the Wii U.
I think even Mario Kart 8 is only 720.
Yeah, that sort of thing is ridiculous to me. And then, so we've been talking about that for a while. Fast forward to today, and Nintendo basically shot its console dead.
Yes.
I mean, let's be honest. The Legend of Zelda being delayed has effectively wiped Nintendo's library out. I mean, what other big projects were people hoping for?
Exactly. That was the one. That was the holiday game.
And that's partially the fans' fault. And I'm not saying like, oh, people shouldn't be excited for The Legend of Zelda. I might not be the biggest fan. I mean, I like Zelda, but it's not like a game that I'm going to rush out at midnight for. But again, Nintendo has a ton of other franchises, but Mario and Zelda are the only one that get any attention. Like, you'll see a Kirby game get shit out onto the 3DS without anybody knowing. I didn't know there was a new Kirby game.
Oh, yeah, the, what is it, like the Robo something?
Yeah, I didn't know that existed.
I look at that and I'm like, this looks really cool. Why couldn't this be on the Wii U?
Why couldn't it be on the Wii U? Why couldn't Nintendo have made a direct for it?
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly did not know the new Kirby game existed until 2 days ago, and I'm a gaming journalist.
It was in a direct, but it was smushed in so many other announcements.
But that can't have been recently.
Yeah, probably like a month or two ago.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
it just like was announced.
Yeah, I didn't know it was coming out. So Nintendo already had a slim library for this holiday season. But okay, they've got Zelda. They've got something that's going to push whatever hardware it's on, and that's okay. Now that they don't have that, what is Nintendo going to sell this holiday season?
Exactly. They're going to sell IOUs
yeah.
for new games.
Yeah, and I can fucking tell you guys right now, it's not going to be a fucking Super Metroid Maker.
Hey, Steve.
What?
They're releasing Federation Force
for
the 30th anniversary.
You in the fucking throat.
That's the game I always wanted.
We'll get to fucking Metroid in a little bit, but going back to the holiday season, I mean, that's the only thing that's been saving Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. That they will have one big franchise of theirs release a game every holiday, and this year they have nothing.
They have absolutely nothing. And the fact that Zelda is going to be at the only game they're showing at E3, which is another thing that they announced today.
Now, I'm hoping that they meant it's going to be the focus of E3 and not the only thing.
What I read is that it's going to be the only playable game at their E3 booth.
So I'm picturing their E3 booth just being nothing, like a little kiosk outside of E3. Miyamoto standing by, like, please play this.
Yeah, and the thing is, okay, so one could ascertain that the reason Zelda Wii U got delayed is because they're waiting for the NX launch.
Yes.
Which, okay, I get that. What the fuck are you going to fill that gap with? Like, that's what it comes down to. And the fact that Nintendo doesn't have anything is basically the death knell for the Wii U.
And like, I follow Nintendo news, and I honestly, there's a new Paper Mario coming out for the Wii U, and I cannot list another Wii U game that's coming out.
Exactly.
For near holiday season.
And it's just, and again, there's so much that Nintendo could do. You know, even if you ignore the fact that I'm so biased against Metroid that I want to dye my hair blonde and grow it out real long so I can look like Samus. There's nothing. There's no F-Zero, which you could totally capitalize on the Mario Kart crowd with. There's not even like a new Super Mario Brothers, like a 2D side scroller, and they could make that in fucking Mario Maker and put it out for full price and people would still buy it.
Exactly. What makes me sad is, like you said, they ignore their franchises that aren't Mario and Zelda, but they just released a new Star Fox. They actually gave us a new Star Fox, but it got terrible reviews.
Well, here's the thing. So have you played Star Fox yet?
I have not, unfortunately.
So I played Star Fox for review, like I mentioned before. I love Star Fox 64 like I love few other games. Like, that is legitimately my favorite game in the entire Nintendo 64 library. And when Star Fox Zero taps into that Star Fox 64, you're flying around in your R-Wing, you're blasting enemies out of the sky, and you're having fun. It's amazing. There are some moments in that game that I wish Star Fox Zero would have come out on a console that it could have been successful on. Because Nintendo was more concerned about making a gimmicky Wii U game than they were about making a good Star Fox game. Star Fox Zero isn't terrible. Let me be clear. I don't read reviews before I publish my own. So when I looked after the fact, I mean, ignoring the journalistic shitstorm that is Polygon's non-review.
Oh God.
That's just a fucking travesty. That's infuriating on a whole nother level. But my review, if you guys decide to go read it, whatever, my review is relatively easy on the game compared to a lot of other major publications out there. I really loved the parts that felt like Star Fox. But just like every other review out there, once you have to start switching between the gamepad and the TV and you have to start using those motion controls, the game just falls apart. It's just not fun. And that could have been a system seller. It came out at a time, I feel like if Nintendo had delayed it a month, it could have had better chances. But it came out at a traditionally slow point in the year. It was something different. It was something new for their console that actually looked really good. But they fucked themselves over with the motion controls. And it's that sort of shit that drives me nuts. There's a good game in there. It's just they were like, well, it has to use the gamepad. And that was it.
And I mean, it was Star Fox being developed with Platinum Games.
And like I said before, there are some moments in there that feel like Platinum Games. It feels like Star Fox. If you're fighting Star Wolf and you fly real close to the cockpit of one of the other fighters, it slows down and it zooms in and you get a goofy one-liner from like Pigma or Andrew, and it's amazing. Those moments make the hair on the back of my neck stand up. And then you have to take the gyro wing and drop a little robot off at a touchpad, and then you have to look at the touchpad and you're and it ruins it. It ruins it, and it sucks. And yet at least Star Fox got a release. Like, how amazing would an Excitebike game been?
Oh yeah, exactly.
It could be just like Super Mario Maker, but you're making racetracks, and then you could just send it online and play with your friends.
And I feel like we've talked about this before, where Mario Kart is their racing game. That is the racing game. It's the only one Nintendo's going to focus on. So they'll pay tribute to F-Zero and Excitebike in that, but they don't care about those franchises anymore.
Yeah, because they're not willing to experiment anymore. You know, and when they do experiment with something like Star Fox Zero, they have to fuck it up by shoving the Wii stuff, the Wii U gamepad shit in your face.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going back to the library this coming holiday season, it's empty. So, I mean, at least with Star Fox Zero, Nintendo was willing to experiment, but considering that's not doing well, and considering how already empty the Wii U library was, they've just given up. Like, there's no other way to say it. And I know I'm gonna get shit on by Nintendo fans, and I don't care, because Nintendo fans are some of the biggest apologists I've ever fucking met.
Well, I mean, I am a Nintendo fan, and I tend to apologize for Nintendo and try to see the bright side on a lot of things, but it's true. They gave up. The Wii U was a failure, and even though I love my Wii U and I've had a lot of fun on the Wii U, it's dead in the water, and Nintendo knows that, and they're not willing to try to revive it at this point.
And here's my 2 cents about Nintendo fans. They will vehemently defend some shitty decision Nintendo makes, but had Sony or Microsoft made that same decision, they would have ripped them apart.
Oh yeah.
It's the bias, and at some points the hypocrisy is fucking ridiculous. It drives me nuts. And it's that sort of shit that I just have a tough time getting excited about Nintendo stuff lately. Because on one hand, you're going to have obnoxious fans tell you about how fucking amazing Animal Crossing party shit Mario Party ripoff is going to be. And then on the other hand, you have Nintendo being like, yeah, look at this fucking Animal Crossing Mario Party ripoff. And it's like, I don't care. I want another game that's going to like get me going, like a real Star Fox game or a Metroid game
or even like an actual Animal Crossing game on the Wii U. What the hell?
Or how about this? A fucking real, true 3D Mario game. How the fuck have we not... You know what? At this point, I don't care that Super Mario Galaxy 2 was the expansion pack that Nintendo charged $50 for. At least it was more fucking Mario Galaxy levels.
Yeah, exactly. And it was so good.
Like, Super Mario 3D World is a good game, but let's be honest, it's a prettier version of Mario 3D Land.
Exactly, but with 4-player support.
Yeah.
And a few more power-ups.
And here's the thing. I mean, you know just how much fucking Mario 3D Land I've played, because I've completed the game 100% like 4 times. But it's not, like I said before, it's not the Nintendo that I remember growing up with, where there was exciting new shit in every single one of their games. I remember playing with the fucking cape in Mario World and being like, you could just fly.
Yeah.
And when was the last time we actually got something like that? And I like to think it was with Mario Galaxy and the gravity system.
Yes.
Where you could put yourself in orbit, and holy shit, like no other game had ever attempted to do gravity like that. And it was amazing. And we haven't seen shit like it since.
No.
So that sort of stuff drives me nuts.
I think the only thing that's wowed me about Mario this generation is Mario Maker. And because they have updated with a few different things and things that aren't in the regular games, and just the idea of the possibilities, but that's a whole different level than experimenting with Galaxy's gravity for the first time.
Yeah, and I will say this. I have been pleasant. I don't own Mario Maker. I've still never played Mario Maker. I love the fact that Nintendo has been listening to its fucking fans for once. Hey, Mario Maker's great, but, you know, we could use checkpoints. And that way, you know, levels wouldn't be so hard. You wouldn't have to get through them in one single shot every single time. Okay, we'll add checkpoints in. And while we're at it, here are a couple new costumes and some event stages and even a new clown car. And it's like, holy shit. Nintendo, why don't you do this for your other games?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they did it for Mario Maker and for Splatoon, and really, that's it. I mean, they didn't even... Well, I guess you could say that the new characters for Smash Brothers were a step forward.
Yes.
So, I will say this. I'll admit this. Nintendo's DLC policy has gotten a lot better with the Wii U, but it's still miles behind all of their other competitors.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, I find that's true with a lot of things. Nintendo is that they make baby steps, and a lot of things they go in the right direction, but it can't compete with what Sony and Microsoft have already done.
Yeah, baby steps just aren't enough anymore. That's it, plain and simple. You can't make baby steps anymore.
So, going back to Nintendo's E3 plans, or
lack thereof,
yeah. They've stated that they're not going to talk about the NX at all at E3.
Which, again, I feel like is another major mistake.
That boggles my mind, and I think I understand that they want the NX to have its own spotlight, kind of like the PS4 and Xbox One did.
Which I get, because then the NX is the undivided center of attention, and that's what it needs.
In that case, why not talk about it next month, or, anytime before E3, so that they have something to say then. Because after E3, there's a very small window before people start talking about holiday releases and everything that has been announced.
Well, and here's the thing. After E3, you've got Gamescom in Germany in August. Then you've got Tokyo Game Show it's usually September, right?
Yes, I think so.
And TGS is usually a smaller show that typically ends up being Square Enix's show, but even so. I mean, that's, again, it's like, when did they announce the NX now?
Yeah, the second half of the year is so busy with everybody else.
And then, yeah, and like you said, holiday releases, people are going to start talking about Gears of War and Call of Duty and that little game called Final Fantasy 15.
Yes.
So,
and VR and everything else that's happening this year.
Yeah, I mean, PlayStation VR is set for October.
I mean, nobody is talking about Nintendo. I mean, maybe there's a small window in July where they can wait until after the E3 hype is down and then before anything else begins, and they could talk about it.
Here's the problem with that. You show off the NX in July, and then what do you have for the next 6 months?
Exactly.
I mean, unless Nintendo is going to do something like Fallout and announce it 3 months ahead of time.
Nintendo has a history of announcing games at E3 that will launch before the end of the year, but they're never big titles, and I don't foresee them shocking us with anything this year.
Yeah, if they were going to have something that's really a system seller, it would be playable at E3.
Exactly. I mean, I hadn't heard before that Zelda was going to be the only thing playable, and that's crazy. Like, that boggles my mind.
I will double check on that, but that's what I read.
Yeah, that, it's sad that now, after everything today, that doesn't completely surprise me.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, to be mean about it, it's pathetic.
It feels like a scramble. It feels like the NX was supposed to launch this year. I mean, they kept saying, they even had it in a recent direct, one not too long ago, that Zelda U was going to launch this year. They kept saying it.
Yeah.
And we've heard for a while, a lot of people speculated that it was going to be a Wii U and NX title. So I'm guessing they wanted the NX to come out this year. That was going to be their big thing. And it just, for whatever reason, it couldn't. It's not finished. I mean, is what I'm guessing.
See, my gut instinct is that they're waiting for the NX to be done. Because they don't want to release it on the Wii U and then be like, well, you'll get another version in 3 or 4, 6 months.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely it.
Because they obviously want to do another Twilight Princess, because having a Zelda game at a console launch is a move that Nintendo should try and do more often. I mean, what big launch title brought in the Wii U?
There was New Super Mario Bros.
No.
And then I know. And then Zombie U, I feel it was supposed to be a big launch title.
Quick sidebar. I played the PS4 version of Zombie because it was like a recent PS Plus exclusive. Fuck that game. Holy shit.
Zombie U was okay. It was the red steel of the Wii U.
Exactly. Let me double check. I'm reading. Thank you to IGN for posting this article.
Thank you, IGN.
Wii U version of the game will be playable for the first time on the E3 show floor, and it will be the only playable game Nintendo presents at the show.
Oh my god,
and that's a direct quote.
Like, I'm gonna pull all my hair out because I remember the year I went to E3, and there was Bayonetta, there was Mario Kart 8, there was Mario 3D World. I mean, it was a packed Nintendo booth.
We made asses of ourselves in front of the fucking creative director at Retro Studios.
Yeah, okay, there was Donkey Kong, and maybe that didn't end too well for us. I think we got to play longer.
That ended awesome for us. Because Retro Studios totally remembers us, and they love us, and our Let's Play series was the best thing they've ever seen.
Vince Jolie, if you're out there, I love you. I remember your name.
I don't.
Neither did Jeff Keighley.
Oh. That's still sad. But yeah, so Nintendo basically has nothing to show at E3.
No.
I mean, they've got let me sort of correct myself there. Nintendo has Legend of Zelda, and that's huge. This is going to be the first time that people are really getting a good look at the game. But that's it. And that's not enough.
No.
Zelda isn't enough. And here's the thing, they could have more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's amazing because there's that little game called Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a Pokemon anniversary. And it's like, you're not going to have anything like even a demo for Sun and Moon.
And holy shit, here's the thing. That game's fucking coming out this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, and here's the thing. 3DS demos aren't hard to do because they made a fucking public Pokemon demo a few years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, what? And then it's not just what are you going to show? It's like we were saying before, when are you going to show it?
Exactly.
Because you don't have that opening. Gamescom tends to be a Sony show. I mean, it used to be sort of an Xbox show, and then Sony over the past few years it's become really VR centric. It's also sort of the post E3 show, so nobody really, Gamescom isn't necessarily known for being huge. It's a big industry show, but it's not E3 or Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah, it tends to get lost in the shuffle.
So, okay, after Tokyo Game Show, you have to assume that Nintendo is going to be pushing Pokemon, unless that gets delayed too, which I'm assuming that Pokemon Sun and Moon will use the exact same engine that, it's the 3DS engine.
I'd be surprised if it didn't, really.
Yeah, so you have to assume that at least they've got the framework there, it won't be delayed. So, okay, your holiday season is all about Pokemon. What do you start fucking New Year's off with an NX announcement?
And then I think that's way too late to start hyping a console.
Yeah, here's the thing. You can take Fallout 4 and you can be like, hey, it's yours in, what was it, 5-6 months?
Yeah.
Not even? It was
Not
like
even.
Four and a half?
Yeah.
You can do that with a game like Fallout. Because they had a 20-minute presentation on it. They had, everybody knows what Fallout 4 is. They had some awesome marketing for it up until that point, but that's a single game.
This is a whole console, and by the time the holiday hits, people have already spent their money.
Exactly. And then you don't have another big wave of shopping and spending until tax season. And that's for a fraction of the market. Not everybody, I can attest to this, not everybody has a great tax season.
No.
So, and people are saying that, okay, they gave like a quarterly like launch window, right?
Yeah.
They said like before March 2017.
Yeah, something like that. I think they're saying March, sometime in March right now.
So at that point, you haven't even hit tax season yet.
No.
So when the fuck do you talk about it? Is it like, Merry Christmas, here's what the NX is going to be? Well, great, I already spent all my money. Like, it's these sort of decisions that just sort of drive me nuts. Like, I don't know if What's the new president's name? It's not Sakamoto, is it?
Kimishima.
Yeah, I couldn't have been farther off from that if I tried. I don't know if it's him picking up the pieces after Iwata passed. I don't know if it's just Nintendo was that far in a hole, they were just like, well, fuck it. I don't know if that's what happened. But they've put themselves in this corner that I don't know if they can get out clean.
And they keep putting themselves in a corner, and they don't have to. I don't understand where this NX announcement came from.
Yeah, and, well, here's the thing. So the NX, just like its announced date, wasn't it released in like an earnings call or a results call?
Yeah.
So I honestly don't know what the fuck they're doing anymore. It's gotten to a point where I'm not saying that Nintendo should follow every industry trend ever. I'm not happy about it, but I totally understand the move away from a traditional gigantic show like E3. I mean, I feel like I'm one of the few journalists who's still genuinely excited to go to E3. I mean, I hear a lot of stuff. Rooster Teeth and sort of Funhouse in particular. I love those guys, but they're not exactly big on E3 anymore. And I feel like I'm sort of in the minority. I understand the move away from that, and I understand that Nintendo, we were talking about it before. Nintendo made a name for themselves by bucking the trend.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between bucking the trend and sort of doing your own thing and pigeonholing yourself into a corner that you can't necessarily get out of easily.
And that's exactly what they've done.
Exactly. There has to be a balance. So it's, what does Nintendo do from here? Do they take their losses and sort of hope that it all works out? Because, I mean, here's the thing. People always... let me get back to Nintendo fans being defensive, because I really wasn't done pissing everybody off the first time. Nintendo fans are right when they lash back with, well, Nintendo can lose millions of dollars for like 20 years and they'll still be okay. Guess what? That's not how fucking companies work. A company isn't gonna go 20 years losing 69% of their profits year over year and be like, well, no, we're okay. We're Nintendo. We still have cash in the bank. No, Nintendo's not gonna go bankrupt anytime soon, but holy shit, if it were to continue on like this for another... Let's go crazy with this. Let's say that Nintendo is in this funk for the next 10 years. Holy shit, you better bet your ass that Nintendo or Microsoft are going to be buying up those properties. Like, the instant that becomes a viable option. Because, I mean, let's be honest, it hasn't worked all that well out for Sega, but that's exactly what happened as soon as they dropped out of the console race. And if Nintendo gets to the point where, they're still losing 70% of their profits year over year, you bet your ass the shareholders and the higher ups of that company are going to be looking to sell. That's just how business works. So, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
I
mean, people are saying doomed, and it's been one really awful generation. But Nintendo... they need to turn themselves around. All I can hope is that the NX has learned from the mistakes of the Wii U, that when it launches, it's done, that it has a library, that Nintendo supports it, and that they have a clear idea of where they're going with this console, because the Wii U just felt aimless from the start, and then they came up with Amiibo, and that was their big selling point with the Wii U. But aside from that, I feel like Nintendo's been really aimless this generation. So hopefully the NX, they've had enough time developing it. Iwata stated a few times that he had a clear plan with what the NX was supposed to be. So that's really what Nintendo has to do, as far as I'm concerned. And hopefully they do.
And here's the thing. I think they'll do it. I honestly think, because you know what? The last time Nintendo had to waddle its way through a shitty generation of consoles, we got the Wii.
Yeah.
And as much as I think the Wii made Nintendo fat and bloated and stupid, we still got some amazing games on it.
And the Wii itself was genius.
Yeah, the Wii itself, I mean, the hardware was shit, but the idea behind it and and the effect it had on the industry. You can sort of cite two sources of why the industry expanded the way it did over the past decade. And one of those sources is a few select games like Minecraft and, Wii Sports and World of Warcraft. And the other is the Wii.
Mm-hmm.
Because that console got games in the hands of everybody. Everybody. I mean, the marketing with your grandma playing fucking Wii Sports was not wrong. My mom, bless her heart, she's a 56-year-old woman. She still wants a Wii because she wants to play Wii Sports and she wants to do Wii Fit. And you know what? If we get something on that level where somebody who's never played games, who's never been interested in the industry, can still want your console after, 10 years?
Yeah, 10 years this year.
Like, if you can do that again, if you can sort of, I said it before, if you can sort of get that triumph through adversity, the NX is gonna be fucking amazing. I just hope that Nintendo stops fucking pussyfooting around and they make a fucking modern console for once.
Exactly. I mean, well, the Wii wasn't their only example of taking their hardship and then making a new system. I mean, the DS came directly from the GameCube failing.
Exactly. So, I mean, the major plot twists, I hope the NX succeeds.
Yes.
You can say I'm nostalgia blind all you want, but that's one of the reasons I still love Nintendo. Like, those games are one of the reasons that I'll always love Nintendo. It's the reason that I hold them to such a high degree of quality. And if that's what the NX can be, then fuck yeah, bring it on.
Yeah. And I look at even modern games like Splatoon is a new IP and it's not perfect. It has definite flaws, but I look at that and that's Nintendo taking something, being creative with it, and they marketed that game pretty well, actually.
And if I remember right, Splatoon was mostly a team of younger developers, right?
Yeah.
And so you take the success of Splatoon, it wasn't a blockbuster, it wasn't necessarily a system seller, but compared to the rest of the fucking Wii U library, it did gangbusters, especially for a new IP. So if we get more of that type of game, not necessarily a new Splatoon, but a creative, colorful, fun game from a team of young developers who are really trying something new and experimenting, if we get a ton of that on the NX, you bet your fucking ass I'm going to be there on day one, signing up and getting all excited for a new Nintendo console, because I want to be excited for Nintendo games again.
And I'm glad that they're giving more projects to younger developers. Nintendo absolutely has to do that.
Yeah, because here's the thing, Nintendo is all standards and practices now, and they're not willing to take risks anymore with something like a Mario or a Zelda. So you give, maybe it's not something with a big IP. Maybe it's not a new Donkey Kong or a new Kirby or a new F-Zero right off the bat. But if that doesn't necessarily matter, as much as I want to see franchises like that come back, and as much as it would help Nintendo do that, I just want to be excited about Nintendo games again. I really, if the NX is something like, okay, if I had my 3DS and I plug it into my Wii U and I can use it as a gamepad and then I can take my 3DS and go use it as a portable, holy shit, yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible.
There's no information whatsoever about it out yet, so yeah, I'm gonna stay cynical. I'm gonna say that Nintendo has fucked itself into a corner, and they're gonna have to do a lot of digging to get out. But if they do, it could be amazing. It could be amazing.
It could be, yes. I hope so.
Or it could be another 4 or 5 years of shit. And I really hope it doesn't end up that way.
I hope so too. Something I'd like to touch upon is Nintendo released more information on their mobile titles and what their plans are for that.
Okay, because I'll let you take that because I haven't really been paying attention because I don't care.
I don't know many details, but, they released Miitomo, and Miitomo's cute. There's not much to it, but I like it conceptually, and it's fun to play on once in a while. They've discussed putting Animal Crossing and Fire Emblem on mobile. Now, they haven't said full games, and with Nintendo, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get full games or anything close to it. But the idea of them at least putting their properties on mobile is something that intrigues me.
Well, here's the thing. I've heard it before. Nintendo doesn't want to butcher its own handhelds. I get that.
No.
If they were to release a full Animal Crossing game on phones, who the fuck cares about the next DS or the next Game Boy? Fuck, just get it on the device you already have. So I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be a full game.
What I'm thinking is they released Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer on the 3DS, and that's a cute game too, but it's not something I'm going to go out and pay full price for and get amiibos for.
That's the one that's just like, here's your house, you can design it.
Yeah, you decorate different characters' houses, and that's all it is. And I think that would honestly be a great fit for a mobile game.
Yeah.
But not a 3DS game. And there's a lot of games that Nintendo puts on handhelds that honestly should be mobile instead. Like Nintendogs would be excellent on mobile.
Yeah. And I could totally see, like, you know, Fire Emblem has its roots in those turn-based... Like, I mean, I recently tried out the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem. I could totally see something like that. I mean, it wouldn't be the big Fire Emblem Awakening or Fire Emblem Fates. You know, it wouldn't be that big story-driven RPG, but maybe, you know, you get something that's like, oh, it's kind of more like a puzzle game. You have to move units here and make sure that this guy survives or something, you know, something bite-sized that's custom-made for that mobile. I mean, puzzle games are 90% of mobile gaming anyway, so yeah, throw some Fire Emblem characters in there, make it a turn-based puzzle game. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that.
So I hope Nintendo uses these properties on mobile and does something interesting with them. And I hope that the NX is a completed console. I hope it's a worthy successor to the Nintendo line of consoles. I hope that it basically just turns them around. At this point, like you said, we don't know anything about it. I'm going to stay kind of cynical. I'm going to stay very cautiously optimistic. But
I'll keep being the dick. I'll keep being the one that nobody likes.
Everybody.
I honestly think the NX could be a big pile of shit. Do I want it to be a big pile of shit? No, but I think it totally could be. I don't think mobile is going to be as successful as Nintendo hopes. I mean, it's not. It's weird because Miitomo is doing well, and that's good, but I don't know if it's going to be exactly what they hope for. I mean, that's one of those things. Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And I mean, we'll have to wait and see is kind of where Nintendo's at right now.
Yeah, with a lot of things, absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm just at this point, I'm not mad at Nintendo. I'm not mad at Nintendo. I'm just disappointed. And now Nintendo is going to go and cry, and you know,
now they're going to go through all of our videos and content ID and copyright strike everything they haven't touched.
Oh yeah, we're getting Konami'd hard.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Well, that was a good way to start off our very first podcast ever. We're going to start off by pissing off Nintendo fans, and then we're going to end on me sounding like I'm drunk.
Everybody, I just want to put out there that I didn't say anything about Nintendo fans. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm a really cool guy. Don't worry about Steve. He's fine.
Send me hate mail. Send me hate mail at Will Holden.
Wait, that's not your name.
brokenbase.com.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Will Holden at brokenbase.com. That's all the hate mail goes right there. And you know what? Let's be honest, it'll probably just go right in the junk folder. So, hey, I'm Steve for Broken Base. He's Will.
I'm Will.
For Broken Base.
From Broken Base.
I was getting to that.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes
I'm trying to end the podcast.
Oh, okay, everybody. Have a good day.
And yeah, we'll be back whenever. God, just shut. We're done. This whole I quit.
I quit too.